Welcome to Caleb's Basketball Pod. We spoke on a lot that was going to happen the last time we recorded. One thing I talked about was that Memphis Grizzlies Golden State Warriors game. Well, since then, Golden State won on Steph Curry having 52, hitting 12 three-pointers. He now has the most double-digit three-point games in NBA history. That should not surprise anyone, with him being the all-time leader in three-pointers made in NBA history, and every time he hits a three, it's an NBA record. So that's crazy to think about. But the fact is, Steph Curry's 52 led Golden State past Memphis. We see Memphis, as I mentioned, drop a bit. John Morant almost got in trouble for a gun gesture. Him and Buddy Hield, the league office reviewed that and said they would not take further action. But another game that we saw on that same night was a historic 62-point triple-double from Nikola Jokic. Now, when I said, last week, that SGA was, in my opinion, the MVP leader, and he would win the MVP award, that was before the huge triple-double. I still think the slight edge goes to SGA. Thunder is playing out of their mind. They have a legitimate shot at winning 70 games in the season. That's not done often. That's rarely done. That's NBA history in and of itself. So the fact that he's the leading scorer on a very young, possible 70-win team, they already have over 60 wins. That alone is crazy to think about with average age of that Oklahoma City Thunder team. And I haven't talked about the Thunder enough on this podcast. I think they've been talked about a lot by a lot of different people. And it's hard to do a team like that justice. They're dominating. They have more minutes in this NBA season with the lead than they do trail, and that's insanely difficult to do. The only thing, now this is what I've talked about. I've spoken with people I know. Only thing about that Thunder team, a lot of their games have been blowouts. In the playoffs, these games are not going to be blowouts. I remember a lot of teams that would blow teams out in the regular season, and they would struggle when it got to the playoffs and it got that pressure, that clutch moments. And they're going to be taking on a lot of vet teams in the Western Conference. I hear people like Kendrick Perkins and Danny Green and guys like that saying it's nearly a wrap that Oklahoma's coming out of the West. It's not a wrap. Oklahoma has not proven themselves in the playoffs no more than any of the other young teams, like Cleveland, like New York, like Indiana, like Minnesota, teams like that have yet to take that really huge step and go really far in the playoffs and have a legitimate shot to win a championship. Oklahoma hasn't done that yet with this group. Not saying they can't. I'm saying it's going to be really difficult to get out of the playoffs when you possibly in the second round may match up with like Steph Curry or Nikola Jokic or LeBron James and Luka Doncic on the same team. That's going to be really hard for them to outplay those guys in the playoff setting, in that playoff atmosphere where it's clutch, where every possession matters, because these guys that I named, they've been there. They know how that feels in that moment. And I think when it gets to those series, I think Oklahoma is going to be a bit of an underdog. I don't think there's any way possible Oklahoma is the favorite in those series, because if you're going against LeBron James and Luka Doncic on the same team, that's hard enough to beat one of those guys in this playoff setting. Now you have to beat them both on the same team. So that would be really hard. And we know Nikola Jokic at this point, I don't think it's debatable, at this point is the best player in the NBA. Just in general, of just all around skill and making his team better and this and that. Nikola Jokic is right now the best player in the whole league. That does not necessarily mean he is the MVP. We've seen seasons where LeBron James was the best player in the whole league, and it was years where James Harden or someone like that would win the MVP award. So I'm not saying that he is automatic MVP because he's the best player in the world. I'm saying anytime he's in MVP conversation, it's because he's the best player in the world. And that's just obvious, but there's still time for him to catch up. But as of right now, I would still give a slight edge to SGA. And back to what I was talking about for Thunder, I want to see how they do when it's these pressure moments, when every possession counts. Your defense is great in regular season. How is your defense when you have like these top quality superstars and you have the IQ for the game? How good is your defense when these superstars are reading it? It's good right now, but how good is it when these superstar caliber players are reading and focusing, zeroing in on nothing but your defense? And it's interesting. I want to see that. I want to see how this Oklahoma team looks in the playoffs. I want to see how this Cleveland team looks in the playoffs. I want to see how the New York Knicks look in the playoffs. I think there's a lot of questions on those three teams in general. You could even throw in, like, say, Minnesota. You could throw in the Houston Rockets. And you just want to see how these younger, inexperienced teams look in this setting, because they have to take on the teams like the Boston Celtics, the teams like the Lakers, the Warriors, the Nuggets, the teams that have been there in those slots and those spots. And we're looking at a chance that Oklahoma may take on Minnesota, which they've been up and down against this year in the first round. They may take on the Clippers. And if you have a healthy Kawhi, it's not shocking that the Clippers could beat anyone in the playoffs if Kawhi and James Harden is both healthy and playing at an elite level. It's not surprising that they could beat anyone in 4 games. Those are two of the top players in the league when healthy, especially Kawhi Leonard. We just haven't got to see Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs. But that's just something I wanted to touch on real quick. And then some other games we saw last night. We saw the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics 9-game win streak push their own win streak to 6 straight after losing 10 straight, which is very interesting. But it's that time of the year where Spoelstra gets his guys going and he gets his Heat. And you know they're going to be a tough outing, even if they're in the first round and they get beat either 4-0 or 4-1. You know that those games are not going to be easy games. It's still going to be games where it was a battle to win 4 and they were close and physical. This is just the time of the year where Spoelstra gets his guys going. So we know that's going to happen. Then right now, I've talked a lot about the West playoffs and the West play-in. But if you're looking at the East play-in, Orlando and Atlanta's right there. They're like neck and neck for that 7th seed. Well, why it's so important, whoever gets that 7th seed gets that home court play-in spot. So you get that home court game for that first play-in game, and you have a shot to take on what looks to be the Boston Celtics. But if you lose, whoever loses that game gets the home court advantage against Chicago or Miami, and then you have a shot for that 8th seed that looks like it's going to put you against Cleveland. So I think either way, you could have some interesting series. You could have Orlando and Boston. You could have Orlando and Cleveland for the 2nd straight year. That was a good series last year. You could have Atlanta and Boston for the 2nd straight year. That was it. Atlanta took a game, but that was it. It wasn't all that competitive, but I do think this Hawks team is a little bit better prepared this time around. I don't think they pose much of a threat if they end up playing the Celtics or really the Cavs. I could see them winning a game or 2 against either team, but that's really as far as I see it going. But that Orlando team, there's something there in that Orlando team. One, you have Paolo and Franz, and those guys are both really, really good upcoming superstar players, and they're on the same team, and they're really good at their positions, and they're good at controlling the game. I could see them getting a few extra wins, like maybe 2, maybe 3 wins against either Cleveland or Boston, and if nothing else, giving a little bit of a scare. In the end, I think Cleveland or Boston would take the series, but I think that's the team that both Cleveland and Boston don't want to see. You probably want to get away from Orlando and have an easier first-round series. But, it's interesting. There's a lot of interesting possibilities that we have. Right now, Milwaukee's falling behind Detroit, and it's looking like Detroit's going to go from one of the worst teams in the league to a number 5 in the NBA, in the Eastern Conference playoffs. And that's just crazy. I've said it before, but J.B. Bickerstaff's done an amazing job with that Pistons team. But also on the flip side, it's Milwaukee's been struggling without Dame Lillard. We heard he got that blood clot in his calf, and they aren't winning many games without him. And it's a bit of a problem, and it really sucks to see when you have Giannis that you're wasting some of Giannis's best years. Last episode I talked about Kevin Durant being injured and possibly out for the year. Well, here's some people that we do know is out for the year. we saw that LaMelo Ball's out for the year. We saw Tyrese Maxey is out for the year. Seeing these guys on these teams that aren't going to make the playoffs that are out for the year, and I don't blame them. Rest them up, get them better, try and make a push next year. I've spoke on the Sixers a lot, so I'm not even going to go there anymore. Hornets I've spoke on a little bit. I don't think there's a whole lot they can do at this point. I think you kind of have to see if you can get someone, and as I said before, maybe move LaMelo to the number 2 on the team and have him get people involved but not be the main scorer. Have someone else maybe be your main scorer, your closer. And I think that's a good idea for them. Last thing to touch on real quick is it's becoming the number 3 to 6 seed and even to 8th, where there's only like a game and a half separating in the Western Conference. This is what I keep telling you guys, this is the best part to watch of the season right now. We're seeing really close. We saw Denver drop to that 4th seed. We saw Golden State move up to that 5th seed. That would be an interesting 4th round matchup. We've seen this matchup before in the playoffs, and it was a good series. But that was when Jokic was not the Jokic he is now. So I think it'd be an even better series now. This Golden State Warriors team is playing really good basketball with Jimmy Butler. It's kind of like he revived them and kind of got them out of the grave, so to speak, and brought them back to life. But it's how they're playing. But that also means the Lakers moved up to number 3, which would mean the Los Angeles Lakers right now would take on Memphis or Minnesota, which are all, both of them are like right there in the area of that 6th seed. Either way, that'd be a really good series. But could you guys imagine if we had either in the 1st round LeBron versus Steph or LeBron versus Anthony Edwards? I mean, that's must-watch playoff television in the 1st round. It's what I keep saying. This year is ultra competitive, and you are going to have some really, really good playoff series. That's it for today's episode. Come back tomorrow. We're going to have a good one, and I'm going to predict my All-NBA 1st and 2nd teams. And yeah, we'll go from there, but that should be a good episode. Thank you guys for joining.